Okay, it's already 6:30. Start na po natin. Okay, Maya Abengi Karengkapwa ko Kabalen. And magandang gabi sa mga taga Luzon. Maayong gabi sa mga taga Visayas and Mindanao. And good evening to each and everyone. Welcome to ETCOR's webinar with the title, Living, Loving, and Exploring Doing Qualitative Research as an Avenue to Meaningful Existence, Day 2. Okay, I'm Miss Maria Alyssa A. Tuazon, your moderator for today. I'm from DepEd Division of Angeles City. I would like to extend my appreciation to everyone who's taking time off your busy schedules to be with us today. So before our discussion proper, to formally start our webinar, let us all ask the guidance of the Lord through prayer. Dear God, we offer everything to you during this webinar. May we ask for your blessing and divine providence that the activities set for this undertaking be successful and effective. Grant us your divine wisdom as we go about our daily tasks after this webinar. This we ask in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, may energy pa ba? Kumain na ba ang lahat? So, to start, this event is an initiative of the ETCOR Educational Research Center under its advocacy Project Sagip Mananaliksik for Everyone, which main aim is to help researchers, students, and professionals all over the country, especially during this time of pandemic. These projects are with the DepEd Advisory. The overall project coordinator are Dr. Bernadette L. Lejarde for everyone, and Dr. Adrian Lawrence Picar Bohal for one-on-one. I would like to recognize the presence of the head research consultant of the ETCOR, Dr. Richard D. Sanchez, also the national consultants, regional coordinators, provincial, division, and city coordinators, and all ETCOR research consultants who are present in this event. Let us now hear Dr. Girlie M. Samson, Assistant Professor at Bulacan State University, Malolos City, Bulacan, as she delivers her welcome message to us. Let us give her a virtual applause. Nandiyan po ba si Dr. Girlie Samson?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Okay. So, greetings to one and all. It gives me immense warmth and great pleasure to grace all of your presence in the interest of the entire ETCOR community. It gives me tremendous contentment to present the welcome message on this momentous service. Before we begin this webinar, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you who sincerely committed to this event to make it a success. This event would have been impossible without the support of our beloved research consultant head, Dr. Richard D. Sanchez, my fellow research consultants from all over the nation, from different regions, our guests, friends, and everyone present here. The topic of today's presentation is entitled Living, Loving, and Exploring, Doing Qualitative Research as an Avenue to Meaningful Existence. Through this webinar, an individual is given an opportunity to identify their vulnerable spots, gain understanding, focus on essential aspects of qualitative research, improve the quality research, attitude, and confidence, and provide practical guide as well as the frequent changes needed in their meaningful existence and lifestyles. I ensure that this meaningful service will be fruitful for everyone present here and serve as an avenue for us in serving the Almighty God through our service to others. Again, welcome to this meaningful endeavor, and let's continue to embrace research and its existence. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samson, for that wonderful message. Now let us proceed with the scope of the webinar for today. First, design a research project related to daily life. Second, writes a research title. Third, provides the justification reasons for conducting the research. Fourth, state research questions. Fifth, indicate scopes and delimitation of research. Seventh, cites benefits and beneficiaries of research. And eighth, present written statement of the problem. For the general house rules, first, turn off your microphone while the presentation or the discussion is ongoing. You may or may not open your camera, but if you can, you may do so. Use as identification the acronym of your institution and your last name and first name. For example, DepEd Tuazon Marie Alyssa. Questions or other thoughts may be typed in the chat box to be entertained after the talk. And now we are on the most awaited part of this webinar, the discussion proper. Let me introduce to you our speaker for today. Mr. Bryan Jester S. Balmeo was a part-time instructor at Ramon Magsaysay Technological University, Castillejos campus from 2012 to 2016. He also became OIC principal of Valiant Educational Institute, a private school in San Antonio, Zambales. After that, he applied for permanent position at the Department of Education and landed as a senior high school teacher 2 at San Antonio National High School, handling research and other English-related subjects. He stayed there until he was promoted as teacher 3 at Subic National High School in December 2018. So, after that, one of his achievements is crafting of student research manual that will be used by senior high school students in the school's division of Zambales. He is also known for bagging several research awards in his division during the School Division Research Congress, where he won first place in the senior high school category last 2018. Wow! He is also an elementary school head category last 2020 and junior high school head category also last 2020. Outside his division, he is a research consultant of ETCOR Educational Research Center, where he is also assigned as provincial coordinator for the province of Zambales. Just recently, he was recognized by the Global Leader and Educators Award as a distinguished educator and an awardee for research. Let us all give a virtual applause to Mr. Bryan Jester S. Balmeo.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you very much. Am I audible po?
Yes, sir. Okay na po.
Okay. Thank you. So, first of all, I would like to greet everyone a pleasant evening. And of course, I would like to give my respect to the head consultant of the ETCOR Research Educational Center, Dr. Richard Sanchez. And of course, to our team for the day 2 of this 3-day national webinar workshop, seminar. To our moderator, Ma'am Marie Alyssa Tuazon, to Dr. Girlie M. Samson, and to Sir Roderick Alcantara. Good evening. And of course, to all our participants. Okay. Tinitingnan ko yung ating number of participants and hindi ko alam. 19 siya ngayon. The first day, I think nasa 60 plus. Bit-bit ata noong moderator, noong day 1, mga students ata niya, kaya sobrang dami. So for those who have attended day 1, eto po ako uli. Pasensya na po at hindi ko nakitang series pala ito, kaya mukha ko na naman ang makikita nyo for day 2. Pero sinisigurado ko sa inyo, iba na sa day 3. Mas maayos-ayos na po yung itsura ng speaker for day 3. Okay, so let us continue the discussion from the first day. This is the day 2 of, again, our 3-day webinar entitled Living, Loving, and Exploring, Doing Qualitative Research as an Avenue to Meaningful Existence. Okay, so bago po tayo magsimula, pwede ko po bang ma-request ng ating mga participants na maglagay ng emoji sa ating chat box? Anything that would describe your feeling for tonight's webinar. Para lang makumbinsi ko ang aking sarili na meron po akong mga kausap Sige po, hintayin po natin ang kanilang mga... Yan, hello sir, Dr. Richard Sanchez. Ayan, meron naman. Okay. Okay, ayan. Thank you very much, Miss Angeline. Okay. Saan na siya? Excited daw. Miss Maria Ana Galang, Miss Nikki Shine. Okay, Dr. Girlie. Okay, so siguro mga students din ito, no? Yung mga kasama natin. Sige, so Miss Moderator earlier discussed, I already mentioned the scope for this night's webinar. Let me just repeat them. So for tonight, we will be discussing design, the following competencies: designs a research project related to daily life, writes a research title, provides the justifications or reasons for conducting the research, states research question, indicates scope and delimitation of research, cites benefits and beneficiaries of research, and presents written statement of the problem. Okay, so let's start with designs a research project related to daily life. So qualitative research designs do not use hypotheses. So we often hear hypotheses in quantitative research. Actually, not all quantitative research uses hypotheses. Only those who measures significant differences or relationships, no, na gumagamit ng inferential statistics, no. But in qualitative research design, totally we do not use hypotheses. So they merely state a problem or pose questions, answers to which are explored lengthily and deeply by way of varied research designs like the case study, ethnography, phenomenological approach, and others. So last meeting, we have discussed this different qualitative research designs, no? And we also have made mention na we use words or verbal data in qualitative research. So we explore, we explain lengthily, no, and deeply the data through verbal means, no? So sources of research topics are likewise tied to real life experiences, and research is conducted in the research participants' natural setting. One of my favorite phrases, no, I have been mentioning it a few times during the last discussion, was in qualitative research, people are not treated as statistics, as part of statistics, no? So in qualitative research, we have our own story to tell, no? We are not just we are not just a part of a number, no, but we are individuals, no, that have different experiences to share. Okay. And because of that, again, these research topics in qualitative research are tied to real life experiences. Okay, so these are examples of the types of research question with real life examples. So first, under understanding and perceptions, ang halimbawa dito, perceptions of the impact of air travel on climate change, no? So it can, under understanding and perceptions, this is an example of qualitative research question. Okay, so ano ang, we have to remember that perception is different from what is really happening, because when we say perception, ito ay pagtingin lamang, ano yung tingin ng isang tao na impact ng air travel sa climate change. Iba yan sa perceptions of the impact is different from impact of. Okay, because when you say impact of, usually you really need to use statistics. You need to measure, no, the effects of the air travel on climate change. But when we talk about perceptions, we're just going to ask our chosen respondents, participants, no, what they perceive, what they think about the impact of this air travel on climate change. And this is really tied, no, to reality, especially na unless isa tayo sa mga hindi naniniwala sa climate change, because we can still read opinion essays, no, or accounts of people that still they do not believe on climate change. Ito daw ay haka-haka lamang. But if we're going to think about it, lalo na yung lalo na kung ang pagbabasihan natin, ikukumparahin natin yung panahon noon sa panahon ngayon, talagang mararamdaman natin mismo kahit nga hindi tayo mag-conduct ng ganitong mga malalakihang research studies formally, makikita talaga natin yung difference, no, that really there is a change in climate, no? So that is an example of understanding and perceptions. Under practices or accounts of practice, an example of that is appearance on clothing practices of non-heterosexuals. The gender, and second example is the gender dynamics of sleep. Okay, so heterosexual, when we talk about heterosexual, ito yung mga straight people. So pagka non-heterosexuals, these are members of the LGBTQIA plus community. Okay, and pag nakita naman natin ang when we talk about this type of people, no, they have really a varied sense of style, no, and clothing practices. So this can also be used as an example of a research topic, no. Next, we have influencing factors. An example of this is factors that influence parents' food purchasing behaviors. Ano ba ang mga bagay na nagpapabago, umiimpluwensya, no, sa mga magulang pagka tayo ay bumibili, pag sila ay bumibili ng mga pagkain? Ay mayroon akong naalala na study kung saan yun daw mga essential, meron daw mga malls na kung saan ang mga essential na mga bagay ay nilalagay sa pinakadulong stall or hall, no? Katapos daw yung mga hindi masyadong mahahalaga, like yung mga chocolates or whatever. Sa akin mahalaga yung chocolate pero hindi talaga siya, I mean, it's not a necessity. Nadadaanan siya, no? So hindi daw napapansin noong bumibili na habang papunta siya doon sa kailangan niya, maraming siyang mga nakukuhang mga ano. So this is part of their marketing strategy, no? And ano pa ba? For example, yun bang mga nasa food labels, di ba? Does it influence? Tinitingnan ba nila ito kapag sila ay bibili, no? Kung napapanood niyo yung patalastas ng gatas ata yun, check the label, mommy. Nakakapag kayo ba ay nag-grocery, nakakakita ba kayo ng nanay na sumasayaw sa'yo, check the label, gumagano'n ba sila? Or ano, binabasa ba nila or whatever, no? So these are examples of under-influencing factors, factors that influence parents' food purchasing behaviors. Next is representation. So representations of masculinity and the metrosexual man in men's magazines. Ngayon, medyo kahit pa paano natutuwa ako na medyo malayo-layo na yung ating nararating with regards to accepting, no, the differences between people. Dati kasi common joke na pag sinabing metrosexual, sabi nila may isang metro na lang daw bading na, no. So that's a common joke, but when we talk about metrosexual, these are straight men that are sila mga banidoso, no. So this hindi talaga they belong to the heterosexual part, no, pero very sila vain. Okay. So ngayon talagang pag nakita natin yung mga men's magazines, di ba, meron ng proper representation yung talagang mga lalaking-lalaki, mga macho effect, and then yung mga metrosexual. Okay, so this is also an example. And anything na representation with regards to halimbawa yung mga marginalized parts of the society, no, na gusto nating malaman ang kanilang mga boses, we can also use this as a research topic. And then last, we have the language practice. So how, for example, how veganism is constructed normal in online discussions. What is veganism? Hindi lang ito yung vegetarian na gulay ang kinakain. Anything na ginagamit niya ay hindi dapat walang nasaktang hayop sa process, no? So that's veganism. So that's but because this is language practice, mga kapatid, we have to remember na the focus is not on the veganism itself, but rather the discussion, no, yung conversations of this in any platforms, no? Paano ba mag-usap yung mga tao with regards to this particular topic or any other particular topic, no, in this manner. Okay, research topics and their sources. So these are examples. Pag medyo naiisip tayo, ano kayang, saan ba ako pwedeng kumuha, humanap, kumagilap ng mga pwede kong gawing topic under qualitative research, no? And saan ko sila pwedeng makita, no? So first example is pressing issues on an individual, organizational, or societal level, or success stories, no? That's why it's very important as researchers, nanonood ka din, you are socially involved, no? Sa iyong paligid, kasi kung wala kang pakialam sa mundo, you are not aware of what's happening around you, naku, mahirap yan na makahanap ka ng topic. Lagi kong sinasabi yan, pag tayo ay nahihirapan na mag-isip ng topic, tumingin ka lang sa paligid mo at for sure, marami kang makikita na potential topics. Because again, qualitative research is tied to reality, no? So nasa paligid lang natin siya. Examples of this, first is narcissism among millennials. This can be a topic. May mga ako I think I'm still a part of millennials, no? Kasi yung mga bata natin ngayon, mga Gen Zs na sila. So itong mga millennials, ito yung mga nagkalat na yung pag tinignan mo ang phone ay talagang halatang-halata mong mahal nila ang kanilang sarili kasi yung buong gallery ay pagmumukha lang nila. Like, di ba? Sa isang outfit, iba-ibang angulo, no? So this is an example of a topic that we can discuss, no? And then next is the another example, deteriorating art of conversation, even among families. Kasi ngayon, di ba, kahit magkakasama kayo sa sala, for example, kunwari nanonood kayo or whatever, kanya-kanya pa ring hawak ng mga cellphones ang mga anak, no? Kanya-kanya. Kasi nga, we are all engrossed in the virtual world. Sometimes, hindi na natin nakikita yung mga nasa paligid natin. Sabi nga nila, ang gadgets daw, pinapalapit niya yung mga tao na nasa malayo. At at the same time, pinapalayo niya rin yung mga tao na nasa malapit lang, no? So this is an issue na talagang makaka-relate tayo, no? Talagang realistic siya, nangyayari siya even kahit tayo. 'Di ba? Minsan nga kahit mga friends natin, no? Magkikita-kita kayo, miss ko na kayo, magkita naman tayo. Pero pag nagkita-kita kayo, cellphone pa rin naman. Minsan may naglalaro ng Mobile Legends, may nagti-TikTok or whatever, no? Yan ang isa sa mga bagay na uso na issue ngayon. Okay? Another example is wide reading or critical film viewing. So varied reading materials, books, journals, magazines, newspapers, monographs can help develop topics of interest. Films as well as videos and documentaries can spark off a research inquiry or problem. That is why as a researcher, ang talagang unang requirement natin dito mga kapatid, ay dapat talagang masipag tayong magbasa, no? Talagang read 3 times a day. Hindi lang 3 times a day, lahat. Talagang kailangan masipag talaga tayo, no? Kasi mas marami tayong makukuha. Minsan sa pagbabasa natin, may mapupulot tayong bigla na makakapag ting, gano'n. Magbubukas sa atin ng yung ating interest ay mapupukaw, no? Okay, so wide reading. Saan ba yan, no? Kasi ngayon, medyo bibihira na yung ating mga libraries sa community. Sa schools, wala naman tayong face-to-face. May mga books tayo, no? Parang yung mga nasa likuran ko. And of course, we have the internet, di ba? Si goggles, sabi i-goggles mo lang yan, sabi niya. Nandiyan na lahat, no? Hindi yan katulad noong mga unang panahon na talagang pag may kailangan kang piece of information, kailangan pang pumunta sa mga malalaking libraries, no? Para lang makita mo yung certain information ngayon. Everything ay halos naka-copy. Yung iba naka-PDF, yung iba talagang nakalagay na sa website. So we can all see these types of information. Ito nga daw yung period na kung saan talagang mulat na mulat tayo, open na open tayo sa mga information. Napakaraming information. Okay, next we have social networking. So the role of netizens in present-day society cannot be overemphasized. Netizens voice their observations, opinions, even condemnation of current happenings, no holds barred. No? Ngayon sa Pilipinas, mga kapatid, makikita natin yan, di ba? Especially sa pagsasara ng ABS-CBN. No? Sa isang survey, nabasa natin na bumaba ang mga Pilipino na nanonood ng TV mula nung nagsara ang ABS-CBN, no? At sila ay nagsipaglipatan sa iba't ibang social media platforms. So makikita natin lahat yan, nandiyan na. Even sa Facebook, minsan punong-puno yan ng mga commentaries ng mga kung sino-sinong mga tao. And even sa YouTube, no? Yung mga, wala na ngayong mga the buzz and everything, no? Nagsipaglipatan na. If you are watching the vlog, for example, of Tony Gonzaga, di ba parang ang dami ng mga interesting mga topics na binabanggit niya, no? So talagang yung mga yan ay malaking bagay, no, para tayo ay makikita. Nandiyan na lahat. Mag-browse lang tayo. Actually, this morning I was really feeling irritated because I feel concerned about hindi ako makapanood ng TikTok ng maayos dahil lumalabas lagi yung away ni Buknoy at saka ni, I don't know if you can relate with me, yung issue ni Buknoy at saka ni Sasa girl, no? So minsan yan, di ba, they use their platform, kanya-kanya yan. People sometimes use platform para isabi nila yung kanilang mga advocacies, yung iba naman mga panggulo lang, no? But if you're going to see, parang nandiyan na talaga, lipunan na siya, yan na yung society, nakikita na natin yung mga iba't ibang behaviors ng mga tao and everything, no? And we also have to remember sometimes the attitude that we have personally, yung talagang harap face to face, is different from what we conceive, no, sa social media platforms, especially dahil karamihan, no, meron kasi tayong pagkakataon na itago yung ating mga identity, kaya talagang ang bashing, ang trolls, no, yung mga yan, mga magagandang research topics yan, ano, kasi paano naaapektuhan ang behavior ng tao kapag alam nila na they cannot be traced, no, they cannot be identified kasi nga ang profile picture nila ay anime, Pikachu or whatever, no? So that is also an interesting topic, no? Mag-browse lang kayo, kaya pag for example, nahuli kayo, sabi ng nanay niyo, ano ba naman yan, umaga, pagising mo hanggang gabi, nagti-TikTok ka. Ay mo, excuse me mother, nagre-research ako, ganon. Kasi talagang makikita natin maraming mga topics that we can also see in these various social media platforms. Okay, next we have replication. Okay, so siguro kung ikaw ay talagang interested, no, na makahanap ng talagang bigatin na topic, we can read thesis and dissertations. These are good sources of topics. No? A theory used in a previous study can still be further investigated. Kaya nga, pag nagbabasa tayo ng mga researches, di ba, sa dulo, recommendations for further study ay ini-encourage. No? It is a must read as well as the critical literature review. So dyan makakakita tayo. No? And hindi yan gaya-gaya because in research, the more na nire-replicate mo ang isang theory, mas lalong pagtitibay, no, yung kredibilidad nitong theory na ito. Hanggang sa dumating ang panahon, maybe maging law na siya, just like any other theories before. Okay. And then of course, we have lectures, talks, and seminars. These are breeding grounds of ideas. Many researchers have claimed that their research topics were offshoots of ideas heard in lectures or even during the open forum. No? Bigla-bigla na lang, all of a sudden, parang, oo nga, no, magandang topic yan. Oh, pwede yan na, pwedeng gawan yan na. No? So dyan natin nakukuha yan sa lectures, talks, and seminars. And sometimes, kahit nga yung hindi naman tayo nanood, sometimes yung mga normal everyday conversations natin, no, lumalabas yan. May mga pagkakataon na mapapaisip, especially kung talagang full blown yung talagang researcher ka na talaga by heart, bigla-bigla parang magkakaroon ka ng interest and pwede itong maging research topic. Okay. Now, we will move to our next competency, writes a research title. Ano yung mga karamihan ng mga problema? Broad topics. Now, so two broad topics will lead you nowhere. In order to narrow down broad topics, the specific ones, the purpose or intent of the study must be clear. Ito yung lagi kong sinasabi sa mga estudyante ko, no. Kailangan alam ninyo kung anong gusto niyo gawin. Minsan kasi, sir, patulong naman ako. Pag tinanong mo, ano bang gusto mong gawin? Hindi ko po alam. Ano bang gusto mong masagot? Poverty po. Ano nga tungkol sa poverty? Basta po, So, so tayo kailangan pag tayo ay nag-iisip ng topic or ng title, kailangan alam mo sa sarili mo, ito ang gusto ko. Ito ang gusto kong masagot, ito ang gusto kong malaman, ito ang gusto kong mabigyan ng solusyon, no? At pagka sigurado ka na sa gusto mong makuha, sa gusto mong mangyari, madali na lang na mag-formulate ng topic, madali na lang mag-formulate ng title, no? So for example, lack of self-confidence, masyadong malawak, no? So how are we going to improve that? Lack of self-confidence in adolescents. So agad-agad tinanggal mo na yung mga ibang uri ng mga age bracket, no, yung mga lack of self-confidence among senior citizen, no, hindi na sila kasama kasi adolescents lang yan. So root causes, manifestations, and intervention. Next, smoking hazards. How we're going to improve that? Health hazards of direct and indirect smoking, prevention, and cure. So sometimes, no, a good exercise would be, sulat mo lahat ng mga, yung pagtitigil, yung 1 minute, lahat ng mga broad topics, poverty, ganyan. Ayan, sulat mo lahat, no? Tapos pagka nasulat mo na lahat, kukuha ka ng mga topics na interesado ka, saan ba gusto ko dito sa mga broad topics na ito, no? And then after that, pwedeng opo. Na magbabasa tuloy ako ng chat box baka mamaya. Okay. Yes. Quality research mainly focuses on real life experiences. Quality research, huwag ka masyadong lalayo, observe sa paligid, maraming topics na kahit sa daily experiences mo ay makikita mo na. Correct. Kung tayong, minsan kasi parang pag-research kailangan parang pagkalalim-lalim ng kailangan mong pag-isipan, no? Yes, yun nga po, do. Parang kailangan ng masyadong ng mga pagkaseryoso. Sometimes tingin ka lang sa paligid mo, ayan na, marami kang makikita, especially for qualitative research. So techniques for narrowing a topic into a research question. Examine the literature. Published articles are an excellent source of ideas for research questions. They are usually at an appropriate level of specificity and suggest research questions that focus on the following. Replicate a previous research project exactly or with slight variations. No? Sometimes, meron ka nang naisip na topic sa search mo, pagkarami-rami. And then, makikita mo na doon ano yung mga pagka kasi nagbabasa tayo ng mga babasahin literature. Unti-unti hindi mo namamalayan, lumiliit yung yung topic mo. Why? Kasi habang nagbabasa ka, na-determine mo sa sarili mo, ano ba ang gusto ko talaga? So for example, poverty, ano ba talaga sa poverty ang gusto ko? Pag nagbabasa ka sa literature about poverty, makikita mo na yung mga iba't ibang mga topics na related sa poverty. Kasi ikaw mismo mapaisip ka, parang ito ang gusto ko. Tapos pag ito naman yung binasa mo, meron na naman hanggang sa mapaliit na siya na mapaliit. And sabi nga nila, wala nang bago sa mundong ibabaw. Lahat daw, no, mula pagsikat ng araw hanggang paglubog, lahat daw paulit-ulit, no? Parang araw lang daw 'yan. Kaya nga sinasabi lagi research kasi daw na-search na. Rare is repeat, no? Parang ganyan. So, tignan na lang natin ano yung mga bagay, no, na dati na nandiyan. Okay? So ito namang mga sumusulpot na mga bago-bago, meron yan na pinagbasihang theory, no, or practice na talagang nag-evolve na lang siya into this new phenomenon na akala na parang iniisip natin na ay, this is very unfamiliar, pero meron siyang pinanggalingan. Okay? Next, explore unexpected findings discovered in previous research. Meron kasi, especially in qualitative research, no? Meron yang mga bigla ka nilang magugulat na, talaga, hindi ko ina-expect yun. Why? Kasi called out. Kung umattend kayo nung nakaraan, called out ang isa sa mga characteristics ng qualitative research. Ano ibig sabihin yan? Ang mga data ay nanggagaling mismo sa mga participants. Hindi katulad ng quantitative research, gumawa ka ng survey questionnaire, andyan na lahat, diba? Causes of absenteeism, nilagay mo na lahat ng causes of absenteeism, i-check na lang nila or rate na lang nila. Pero pag qualitative, sila mismo ang tatanungin mo, bakit ka ba absent? No? At magugulat ka kasi hindi mo naman nabasa yon sa any literature na may ganun palang cause, no? So itong unexpected finding na ito, talagang kung talagang na ano ang iyong interest, pwede mo siyang i-develop into another research. Okay? Next, follow suggestions on an author gives for future research at the end of an article. Na lagi naman yan sa dulo, nagbibigay siya sa recommendations, ganyan, ano yung mga bagay na pwedeng gawin. No? Next, extend an existing explanation or theory to a new topic or setting. No? So tama ito. Meron kasing mga dati ng theory na although hindi talaga siya saktong-saktong doon, nag-a-apply doon, pero medyo malapit siya, no? So pwede kang magsimula dito, no? And then later on, tsaka pwede ka nang lumayo ng paunti-unti. But you have to really start somewhere. Kailangan meron kang sisimulan muna. Okay, next is challenge findings or attempt to refute a relationship. Mga kapatid, subukan ninyong magtingin ng mga literature reviews. Halimbawa, merong isang topic, imposible talaga, no? Mas may posibilidad pang pumayat ako kaysa dito sa sasabihin ko. Imposible na lahat ng research topic, pag nagbasa kayo ng literature, ng mga studies, isa sila ng sinasabi. That's very impossible. Meron at merong magkakasaligmang mga sabi-sabi. No? So for example, may nagsasabi na ito, ay, sabi ko, effective siya. Meron namang mga grupo ng mga ano na, ay, hindi, ito ang mas effective. Ito hindi yan maganda. No? So meron at meron yan. Ikaw, kung halimbawa, nabasa mo ito at parang hindi ko ito pinaniniwalaan. Parang hindi yata ito ang aking pagkakaintindi. Parang hindi ito yun. No? So pwede mo i-challenge itong findings ng previous research na ito at gumawa ka ng sarili mo para mapatunayan na ito ay mali. Di ba? Okay. And then last, specify the intervening process and consider linking relations. No? Ano ang connection nito? Itong variable 1 na ito sa variable 2 na ito, no? It can also happen, no? Okay, next. Talk over ideas with others. Ask people who are knowledgeable about the topic for questions about it that they have thought of. Okay. And seek out those who hold opinions that differ from yours on the topic and discuss possible research questions with them. That is very, kaya nga napakaganda na meron tayong mga colleagues, no, sa research field. Kasi minsan yung mga iniisip natin, nagiging opinion natin yan, nagiging paniniwala natin yan, minsan nakakaharang siya doon sa topic na gusto natin, no? Ngayon, kapag meron tayong itong idea na naisip natin, ipinitch natin sa kasama natin, nagkakaroon ng balance na ito, pwede ito, pwede ganyan, no? Which is maganda siya, no? So we have to really develop this type of community in the research, in the academe, no? Kailangan meron tayong ganito na nagtutulungan tayo, ganyan. Pero huwag naman natin kopihin na rin natin idea na, ay, ang ganda na nakopihin ko nga, huwag naman ganyan. Bad naman siya. Next, apply to a specific context. So focus the topic on a specific historical period or time period. Narrow the topic to a specific society or geographic unit. No? So ano ito? Dinidelimit mo na siya. Pinapaliit mo na yung mundo. So for example, sa school, sa halip na buong Zambales, itong district lang na ito. Kaya naman, itong historical period or time period, sa halip na lahat mula umpisa, may mga dinosaur pa hanggang ngayon, pwede mong umpisahan lang noong Spanish, ganyan. Kaya doon naman sa specific society or geographic unit, yun na nga, katulad ng sinasabi ko kanina, sa halip na buo, maliliit na lang. Mas maliit na lang. Especially if nagsisimula pa tayo, no? Walang masama na magsimula talaga from simple things, no? Yung wag tayong agad na ay kailangan bongga ito. Hindi naman. Kasi habang tumatagal, mas natututo pa tayo. Okay. And then next, consider which subgroups or categories of people or units are involved and whether there are differences among them, especially in qualitative research. Kasi wala naman tayong principle of generalizability sa quantitative research, no? Kung ano yung topic na kailangan natin, kung ano yung kailangan nagmamatch yung topic na iniisip natin doon sa participants na kukunin natin, no? So for example, kumuha ng kung ano-ano. Tapos ang topic mo ay tungkol sa online games. Tinanong mo na yung participant mo. Ano bang nararamdaman mo? Bakit ano bang nararamdaman mo tuwing naglalaro ka at bakit adik na adik ka na diyan? Isang sagot ng participant mo, Hindi, wala po. Hindi naman po ako naglalaro. Tetris lang po ang alam ko, tsaka yung snakes, ay snake. Hindi nga po ako naglalaro ng kahit ano eh. Farmville lang ang alam ko dati. So wala kang makukuhang any idea sa kanya, any data sa kanya. So you have to really consider sino ba yung mga kukunin mong tao, no, na magpa-participate sa iyong study. And then define the aim or desired outcome of the study. Will the research question be for an exploratory, explanatory, or descriptive study? Will the study involve applied or basic research? No? Meron ba itong solusyon? Meron ba itong problema gustong solusyonan? Or gusto mo lang malaman kung ano yung nararamdaman nila? Ano yung nangyayari? No? So you have to really define it, no, para mas mapaliit siya, mapanarrow down pa yung iyong topic. Okay. Other topics of interest? Ang daming topics of interest, kaya talagang marami na kayong maiisip. Issues like poverty, informal settling in congested cities, the traffic issue, the transportation problem, human rights, etc. Gender inequality or transgenders, I think. Sensitive issues like families or individuals trapped in sibling rivalry, infidelity of spouse, financial crisis brought about by unemployment, among others. Ako ay pinag-iisipan ko kung i-open po ba ito, pero sige. When I was a senior high school teacher, merong isang group, meron akong hinahawakang mga estudyante kasi di ba sa senior high school, meron tayong academic natin. So meron itong nasa TVL track siya, no? Kung saan itong mga estudyante na to ay talagang mga yung mga lalaking talagang malalaki ang katawan, mga ganyan. Yung ganun yung nire-require ng kanilang course, no? So yung mga estudyante. And then sometimes hindi mo alam kung nagbibiro ba sila o seryoso sila sa sinasabi nila. And then may isang grupo ng estudyante na lumapit na ang gusto daw nilang malaman, this is for qualitative research, lived experiences daw ng mga estudyante ng mga lalaking estudyante na nagpapabayad for indecent something. And then, of course, hindi mo pwedeng mapayagan yan kasi very sensitive, no? Very sensitive yung issue. And hindi naman yan basta-basta dapat mong i-open lang, ibubuyang-yang lang sa isang klase. So I said no. Pero out of curiosity, saan naman kayo hahanap ng mga ganito? Meron daw silang mga kakilala. This is a part of reality, ha. Kaya yan ang naiisip nila kasi yan yung mga nasa paligid nila. Yan, again, paulit-ulit natin sasabihin na kung ano yung mga nangyayari sa paligid, yan ang rich source of information, no? Pwede natin yan pagkuhanan. But of course, we really have to be very careful, no, sa ating mga pipiliing mga topics, especially if it is sensitive. Pipiliin din natin yon kasi minsan ang uri ng kaso ng topic ayon sa sensitivity. Kapag medyo mas mataas yung level of sensitivity, kailangan medyo mataas na rin yung iyong experience, no, sa pagkakandak ng qualitative research. No? Pero pag mga beginner ka pa lang, medyo hindi muna tayo doon sa mga sensitive cases kasi hindi pa natin masyadong alam yan i-handle. Yan, nandiyan na yan, infidelity of spouse, ganyan, di ba? Yan yung mga yan yung mga issues na controversial, no, na kailangan talagang pag-iisipang mabuti. Okay. Online selling or online business from varied marketing aspects like what sells online and what does not, consumer psychology or buyer behavior. Ito, bago ito, no? Especially during the pandemic, nakita natin yung pag-boom ng mga online sellers, no? Kasi nga talagang ultimo taho nakikita mo na online, no? Tingin ka pag nagugutom ka, magtingin ka ng may mga groups na yan na para ka ng yung pag nag-browse ka ng Facebook group, para ka nang nagpunta ng palengke, talagang may nagtitinda ng fishball kikiam, tokneneng, may nagtitinda ng mga damit, sapatos, yung mga nagla-live pa and everything, no? So ngayon lang talaga siya nag-boom because of the pandemic. And very interesting ito, no, na pwede natin pagkunan ng research tab. Online games, positive and negative effects on gamers. Although, sabi ko nga, sa ilang taon kong pagtuturo ng research sa senior high school, ito yung mga topics na sawang-sawa na akong makita kasi paulit-ulit na siya. Yan na yung common topics na nakikita na natin. Behavior problems like extreme shyness and being a loner. No? Yung pagiging mahiyain, hindi naman siya okay lang naman siya, no? Kailangan naman talaga bawat isa sa atin may hiya namang konti, ano. Pero yung sabi nga pag sobra-sobra na, problema na siya, no? Well, it can also be a source. However, tayo as students, kayo pala as students, medyo kailangan natin kasi pag ganito na behaviors na ito, kailangan natin ng guidance ng psychologist, no? Para dito. Examine the table that follows, which shows research titles of actual studies done using qualitative and quantitative. Okay, so these are examples of qualitative research titles. Okay. Experiences of reaction and coping of Filipino fathers and mothers during and after a natural disaster. Okay. Common sa mga qualitative research title ang paggamit ng colon. Okay. The lived experiences of trauma and post-traumatic growth of women with history of social abuse. Although ako, I discourage the use of articles, especially yung the. Pwede natin lived experiences. Pwede nakalagay dyan. Employee commitment to environmental stewardship as a component of corporate social responsibility. Ito medyo malalim na ito. The meaning behind the journey towards acceptance, an interpretative phenomenological analysis of accounts of parents of transgender women. Ang dami ko na nabasang transgender dito. May balak ba akong ano? Itong the meaning behind the journey towards acceptance, ang tawag natin dito ay kicker, no? So sa qualitative research lang ang may kicker, sa quantitative may mga gumagamit pero hindi talaga siya advisable, no? Pero sa qualitative nababagay talaga itong kicker na sinasabi. Ano ba itong kicker? Ito yung parang paliterary type, no? Paliterary ang style, no? Para pangkuha ng atensyon ng mga readers. Dito sa pangalaw ay ang huli, I am your father. That's a kicker. A qualitative study on the perspective of a father with a homosexual son. In fairness, interesting yung title na yun. Yeah. So yan ay kicker, no? Lagi ko ang favorite ko ang sinasabi, kung gagawin mong tao ang qualitative research title at ang quantitative research title. Ang quantitative research title, ang maihahambing mo siya sa sundalo, yung straight na sundalo na lang nakatayo lang ng diretsong-diretsyo na ganun lang siya, no? Very straight. Kapag naman qualitative, yung mga maharot, yung talagang mahulay, no? Maarte, no? Yan yung tinatouch na natin yung pagiging language language expert natin na pag gumagawa tayo ng mga qualitative research titles. Ay, nasa na ako. Okay, the face of cigarette advertising, the constitutionality of the tobacco advertisement ban, your life design. A qualitative study on the contributions of feng shui to life satisfaction, impact of the use of social networking on non-governmental organization effectiveness, a PWD's battle, a qualitative study on the reactions and experiences of persons with disabilities, and understanding teacher leadership in elementary schools in China. Itong dulo medyo hindi pa to ganoon ka-creative na pwede pang ma-improve yan. Before you make a final decision on your topic, reflect on these questions. What area or areas not covered in classroom lessons or discussions do I still want to know or investigate in my specific track? This is for senior high school students or students. If I do this research project, how useful will it be to me as a senior high school graduate and the community where I belong, and even to the larger community, the Philippines, ASEAN, and the world? No? Sometimes, pag ikaw yung talagang estudyante, isip mo, ano ka ba iisipin ito eh? Di ba? Minsan kasi ang natin sa research ay for compliance purposes. Pero lagi ko ang sinasabi, kung gagawa ka rin lang naman ng research, gamitan mo na ng puso. Karirin mo na. Gandahan mo na. Kasi pagdadaanan mo rin naman ng proseso, might as well, gumawa ka na ng isang produktong talagang gagamitin ng mga ibang tao. Because this is a sad scenario na hindi lang common among senior high school students, pero maging sa academe. We produce so many research outputs, no, na wala namang pinupuntahan, wala namang kwenta. Kasi nga, sometimes, hindi naman talaga ang purpose ay to produce, no, a useful data na magagamit sana ng community or ng academe, kung hindi for other purposes. So, nagkakaroon na ng sobrang daming mga research outputs na wala namang pinupuntahan. And that is a really, really sad scenario, no, na ma-experience natin. So every time nagagawa tayo ng research, ang isipin natin, anong magiging pakinabang nito? Lagi ko itong sinasabi sa mga estudyante ko. Anong magiging sense nito? Anong magiging ambag mo, no, sa lipunan, no, sa paligid, no, itong research mo? Sabi naman nila, magre-research na nga sir, may ambag pa. Ganun talaga yun. Provides the justifications or reasons for conducting the research. This is the next competency. Conducting qualitative research is justified because it can help solve or shed light on problems or issues encountered day to day by individuals, organizations, communities, industries, business, among others. Siguro, I think na-establish naman na natin na itong sentence, na statement na ito. To check whether or not a research study is justified, Marshall and Rossman came up with a checklist. Kailangan tingnan niyo ito, itanong niyo sa sarili niyo yung topic niyo kung yes ba ang mga sagot niyo dito o no. The research method is explained in detail. No, hindi magulo, ano ba ang gagawin? Minsan nangyayari yan. Nagpasa, wala namang research method. Anong gagawin natin? Kaya naman yung iba, ang nilalagay lang qualitative. Basta qualitative. No? Ang dami-dami namang uri ng qualitative research. No? So kailangan naka-detalyado. Assumptions are stated, although there are researchers na parang hindi na nilalagay ang assumptions. No? The research guards against value judgments in data collection and in analysis. Raw data demonstrate connection between the presented findings and, of course, the real world. The study answers research questions, syempre, because that is the main purpose, na masagot yung research questions. The relationship between the current study and previous studies is clear. Okay. The study is reported in a manner accessible to other researchers, practitioners, and policymakers. Evidence presented is subjected to a variety of methods to check out findings. No, we call this triangulation. Bakit importante ang principle of triangulation sa qualitative research? We have to remember, mga kapatid, wala pong statistics ang qualitative research. Wala pong formula para rito. So paano natin masisigurado na ang data na kinuha natin ay talagang yun ay valid, yon ay credible. We use the process of triangulation. Ano itong triangulation na ito? May explain ito later on sa mga mas malalayo pang competencies. Pero pahapyawan lang natin, ito yung paggamit ng more than one method. Actually, may mga iba pa yan, hindi lang method. But this is the common. No? So for example, face-to-face interview mo na, individual interview mo na, i-focus group discussion mo pa sila ng minsanan. Kailangan yung theme na makuha mo rito ay siya rin. Wala nang lalawas na mga bagong theme. Ito, consistent na itong mga themes na ito, no? Para masigurado na valid or credible yung ating data. Next, report acknowledges limitations of generalizability. Of course, again, we do not have the principle. We do not have generalizability in qualitative research. Kung sino lang yung participants ng grupo na yon, doon lang nag-a-apply, hindi sa buong population. The study is exploratory, not merely to find contextual data. Observations are made over a full cycle of activities, and data are available for reanalysis. Methods are devised for checking data quality. In fieldwork analysis is documented. Meaning is elicited from cross-cultural perspectives. No? That is why it's very important na yung nagbabasa tayo ng mga iba't ibang literary reviews, literature reviews. Ethical standards are maintained. No? Napakahalaga nito. People in the research setting benefit in some way. Data collection strategies are the most adequate and efficient available. The study is holistic and linked to relevant systems. The researcher traces the historical context to understand how institutions and roles have evolved. No, kapag yun, karamihan nun ay na-check or lahat ay na-check, sabihin, justified yung iyong research. Lincoln and Guba of 1985, on the other hand, cite the following factors for the soundness and justification of qualitative studies. Credibility refers to the truth value of the qualitative study, is applicability, consistency, and neutrality. Yung bang mga data na kinuha mo ay talagang yan ay kapani-paniwala. No? Paano natin masabing ito kapani-paniwala? Sa paggamit nga natin ng principle of triangulation. Validity refers to an in-depth description that shows the complexities of variables and the embedding of interactions in data derived from the setting. Transferability. It is the applicability of one set of findings to another context. Under this factor is triangulation, again, which is the act of bringing more than one source of data to bear on a single point. Kailangan kahit saang uri mo pa ng technique na gamitin, iisang theme pa rin ang lalabas. Okay. Dependability. It refers to the researcher's attempts to account for changing conditions in the phenomenon chosen for study, as well as change in the design created by increasing refined understanding of the setting. Actually, pag gumawa tayo ng qualitative research, pwede nating baguhin ang lahat, no? Kapag halimbawa, pagdating natin sa kaya nga tayo may assumption. Nung nasa gitna na tayo, na-realize natin na ang assumption natin ay mali o yung ginamit nating method ay may appropriate na gamitin. Flexible ang qualitative research. No? Pwede natin siyang baguhin. And then conformability answers the following questions. Do the data help confirm the general findings and lead to, of course, the implications? Next, we have this states research question. Newman advances the following as typical research questions for qualitative researchers. How did the social situation originate? Saan nagmula? Ito yung mga common natin sa qualitative. Saan galing? Saan nagmula? Ano nangyari? Bakit lumabas itong phenomena na ito? Ano ang explanation behind this? How was the condition or situation maintained over time? So, ayan na yung sitwasyon. Ito na yung mga pangyayari. Ano ang nangyari? No, dito sa kaganapan na ito. And then what are the processes by which a condition or situation changes, develops, or operates? No, paano nagbago, ano nangyari? Paano nag-evolve? No, paano gumana? Yan ang ating typical research questions for qualitative research. Example. Okay, for example, on lack of self-confidence in adolescents. Yan, mga questions natin. What are the root causes of lack of self-confidence? What kind of behavior do adolescents who lack self-confidence manifest? What can the following groups of people do to boost up the self-confidence of adolescents? Although, minsan mas nakikita natin yung how may, diba? The participants, lived experiences be described, mga ganyan. Okay. On smoking hazard, this is also an example. Okay. This is from actual qualitative research studies. What reactions do Filipino fathers and mothers experience during and after a natural disaster? How do they cope? Usually, pag may struggle, kasunod niyan, coping mechanism. So, paano sila nag-move on? Paano nila niresolve ba? Kadalasan kasama. How do the experiences of Filipino fathers and mothers differ in terms of coping and reaction? Okay, indicates scope and delimitation of research. This includes the coverage of the study area, the subjects, the research instrument, the research issues and concerns, the duration of the study, and the constraints that have direct bearing on the result of the study. Napapansin natin to karaniwan, minsan napagbabaliktad natin yung scope and limitation, tsaka scope and delimitation. Ano ba ang difference nitong limitation sa delimitation? No? Pag sinabi daw nating limitation, it is associated with qualitative study as related to validity and reliability. Experts agree that because qualitative research occurs in the natural setting, it is extremely difficult to replicate studies. Kasi paiba-iba nga siya. We are individuals. We have different stories to share and to tell. When you select certain methodologies and designs, for example, phenomenology, we will encounter limitations over which you may have little control. So pagka limitation, yun yung mga external factors na halos wala tayong magagawa. However, ang delimitation naman ay internal. Ito yung mga boundaries ng research study na ginawa mismo ni researcher, no? Para mas mapaliit, mas maging specific yung kanyang topic o yung kanyang research. For example, this study included only the grades 6, 7, and 8 students who experienced bullying. So more on researcher's decision. No? Kumpara natin sa limitation na we have little control. Okay, so ito yung mga example natin ng delimitation ng research. This study covers only those families in Barangay San Jose, Pasig City, benefited by the government's Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program. So hindi mo na sasabing, kasama kaya po yung Barangay San Pablo? Siyempre, nakita natin sa delimitation. Hindi nga, Barangay San Jose. Okay? So minsan sa subtitle natin, di ba nilalagay pa natin yung ano yan? The effectiveness of blah 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 among grade 5 students in San Juan Elementary School, San Juan Zambales, ganyan. So minsan tinatanggal na natin yon, yung San Juan Elementary School, whatever. Ilalagay na natin yan sa scope and delimitation. Diyan na yan papasok, no? Para hindi na masyadong mahaba ang ating title. This study includes only those English freshman classes that use both blended learning and standard ways of language teaching. This research investigation covers only land bank-sponsored livelihood projects in Barangay San Juan, Apalit, Pampanga. So makikita natin dito, ano lang ba, saan lang ba na-apply itong research na ito. But kasi hindi naman natin kaya na buong Pampanga halimbawa ang gagamitin natin, especially kung maliit lang naman tayong researcher. So we really have to delimit. Yeah. So this is an example of a whole scope and delimitation. So the study covers individual experiences and coping of Filipino fathers and mothers. Ano muna? Okay, so you start with that. It will focus only on individuals who were affected by natural disasters, specifically those who were affected by floods due to typhoon. So habang tumatagal, lumiliit ang lumiliit. So pinag-umpisa ka, individual experiences and coping of Filipino fathers and mothers. So siguro covered nito yung mula Batanes hanggang Hulo. Lahat yun in-interview niya yung Filipino father and mother. Ngayon, nabasa ka, individuals who were affected by natural disaster. Sabi, okay, yun lang palang mga naapektuhan ng natural disaster, mga lindol, baha, tsunami, gano'n. Specifically those who were affected by floods due to hindi pala kasama. So pansin natin habang tumatagal, paliit hanggang na-specify na natin, sila lang talaga ang mga chosen few, no, para doon sa research natin. So the researcher focused only on two specific typhoons, Ondoy and Habagat, because they believe that these typhoons had the most significant impact on people's lives. The severity of the impact of these typhoons was so tragic that the research participants were able to instinctively recall information and their experiences that happened during those events. Kasi kung hindi naman ganun kalaki yung impact, sometimes sa sobrang tagal, makakalimutan mo na yan. Kaya nga meron ang isang characteristic ng qualitative research na yung mabilis, kung mismong nangyari, hindi na patagalin, interview na agad. Pero ito naman, sobrang tragic niya kasi, no? Talagang maaalala mo yan, hindi mo na siya makalimutan. Naalala ko tuloy yung kung nagkaroon tayo ng nung nagkaroon tayo ng bagyo na kung saan may isang certain area sa Pilipinas na hindi na sila agad na rescue, nasa mga bubong na sila, tapos may nag-video na umiiyak, may mga umiiyak na, tapos yung iba nalunod na lang and everything. Hindi ko na maalala kung saan lugar yan. Tapos pagdating nila dun sa nung nag-upload na sila, yung mga ibang tao talagang naapektuhan sila, no? Hanggang ngayon hindi talaga sila makatulong, hindi nila makalimutan. So ang ginawa nila, this is real life hangi sila ng tulong, GCash, ganyan. Tapos mga damit, nagpadala sila. Kasi nga talagang ganun kalaki yung impact sa kanila nung nangyari. No? Lalo na doon sa mga taong nakaranas mismo doon. Okay? This research focused on the perspective of fathers and mothers. Another limitation of this research was the area covered, wherein the researchers focused only on Filipino participants who resided in the National Capital Region during and after the typhoons struck. Okay. So hindi pala mga taga Leyte. Hindi kasama ba dyan, sir? Yung mga taga Siquijor? Yan. Hindi nga, kasi nga mga nakatira lang sa National Capital Region. So kung gusto mo makita talaga yung sino-sino lang yung involved doon sa yung study, punta ka kaagad sa scope and delimitation. Hindi mo siya kailangang isaksak lahat sa title mo. The researcher must see to it that the following are considered on presenting the significance of the study. What impact will this have in the future? How will results of the study be implemented and what innovations will come about? When the researcher is finished, what are the questions to which reasonable answers can be expected? And what will results mean to the theoretical framework that framed the study? We also have what suggestions for subsequent research arise from the findings. What will the results mean to the practicing educator? Anong ibig sabihin nito sa'yo? No? Will results influence programs, methods, and interventions? Sinong maaapektuhan nitong findings mo. Will results contribute to the solution of educational problems? Will results influence educational policy decisions? What will be improved or changed as a result of the proposed research? Lagi natin kasing iisipin ito. Kasi kung wala namang purpose yung ginawa mo, sayang lang, no? Nagpakahirap ka lang. So lagi natin iisipin, meron naman pong purpose, sir. Nakapasa po ako, nakagraduate po ako, hindi po ako pinalayas ng magulang ko kasi nakapasa po ako ng practical research. Given na siya, no? But the research itself, ano yung magiging ambag mo, no? Kaya nga it's very important na may mga nakikita na akong ganyan na yung mga research natin kahit sa senior high school pa lang, tinuturuan na kayo na mag-publish, no? Kasi kahit na sobrang ganda niyan, kung nakatago lang yan sa library ng school ninyo o sa advisor ninyo, wala na yan, makakalimutan na yan ng mga taong bayan. Na hindi ka nila makakalimutan, hindi ka nila alam na nag-exist yan. No? So mas maganda rin. Ang dami ko na nakikita ng mga publications na tumatanggap na ng mga senior high school students na mga outputs, which is good. Kasi talagang makikita na sa mundo, alam mo yon, yung kahit na matagal ng panahon ang lumipas, matanda ka na, hanggang sa mawala na tayo sa mundong ibabaw, googleable ka pa rin. Pag sinearch mo yung pangalan mo, try nyo mga kapatid, search nyo yung pangalan nyo, tingnan nyo kung anong lalabas. Yan ang ambag natin sa kasalukuyan, sa lipunan na nakikita sa Google. Kapag wala pa, kita natin yung Facebook natin, kaya yung mga picture, usually yung mga picture natin na nung kabata-bataan pa natin, kulang pa, no? Meron pa tayong dapat i-contribute sa academe, no? Pero kapag medyo marami-rami na tayong nakikita doon, nasa tamang path tayo. Especially if really we are interested in research, no? As a field. Okay, this is an example of benefits and beneficiaries. Okay, we're this is surviving cultural heritage of the Kankanai of Benguet. Basis of a proposed program for cultural preservation and development. So yan. Sino-sino yung mga magbe-benefit. So syempre, ang inuna natin yung mga culture. Kung mapapansin niyo, common na sa inyo yung to the, ganyan, di ba? To the students, blah, blah, blah. To the learners, blah, blah. Di ba ganyan ba paragraph? Minsan nga binabold nyo pa yung to the students, to the learners, to DepEd officials, mga ganyan. Kasi yun yung common na mga tao. Pero usually, sa mga international publications, yung mga ganyan na siya. Talagang naka-essay type na siya. Tapos, diretso lang kung paano mo, na mini-mention mo sino yung mga magbe-benefit. No? Ang ganda na sa dulo, teachers, educators, curriculum planners, etc. Etc. Sige, mamaya babasahin natin. Next, presents written statement of the problem. Marshall and Rossman of 1995 clearly explain the purposes of the problem statement or inquiry, to describe the substantive focus of the research study, to frame it as a larger theoretical policy or a practical problem and thereby develop its significance, to pose initial research questions, to forecast the literature to be discussed in the second section, and to discuss the limitations of the study. Ako siguro wala itong hindi ito base sa nabasa or whatever, but you know, the statement of the problem is really a very, very important part, no, of your research. Kasi in the first place, if you do not have the problem, why are you going to go and find a solution to that problem, which is the very core of your research, no? If there is no question, why try or attempt to find an answer? So kailangan talaga ito yung pasimula natin. Kailangan dito magsisimula ang lahat-lahat. Makita natin ano ba talaga, no, ang sitwasyon. Anong gusto nating malaman. Kailangan nakalagay diyan. Pag binasa yan ng kung sino man teacher natin or kung sino mang reader, pag binasa nila ang problem statement mo, ito palang problema nitong tao ito. Ito ang gusto niyang malaman sa kanyang study. Okay, ganun pala. Okay? And this is an example of a statement of the problem. So we start with, the purpose of this study is to blank. And then so specifically, the research will seek to answer blank the following questions. Yan ay mga questions. Usually, pa ganyan. Minsan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Minsan hindi siya numerical, dire-diretso lang. Minsan naman, hindi questions talaga kung hindi objectives. No? So, depende yan. Basta, ang mahalaga lang ang nakalagay sa pagka binasa natin yung problem statement, makikita natin ano ba ang gusto mong mangyari. No? Because that is the purpose of yan yung lumang chapter 2 eh. Ano ang gusto nating malaman? Anong tanong ang gusto nating masagot? Anong problema ang gusto nating masolusyonan, no? Yan ang dapat masagot ng problem statement. Okay. And these are my references. If you have questions, ma'am, si ma'am. Ayan. Sige, si ma'am Marie Alyssa na lang siguro yung mag-entertain ng mga queries or comments sa ating chat box. Thank you very much po.
Okay, thank you, Sir Bryan, for that informative discussion. You deserve a virtual applause. Okay, the floor is now open for your questions. You can now type it on our chat box po. Sige po. Tatarin po ninyo ng tanong si Sir Bryan. Sige, okay lang sa kanya. Then while typing your questions po, let me read some comments from our participants. So from, taas natin konti. So from Sir Miko Jan Lopez, try to open both your eyes and minds. Problems are everywhere. O nga naman, di ba po? Then from Sir Miko again, reading also the recommendation of past research studies may help you also to produce a research problem. Okay. From Sir Richard, maging creative sa title ng quality papers. Yan. And another comment from Sir Richard again. Sa title, usually wala na yung mga identifiers based sa na-attendan kong seminar dati. Because of confidentiality of research daw, although madalas ay nakakatsyempo pa rin ako ng universities or prof na pinapalagay nila. From Ma'am Mary J. Tuazon, thank you, Sir Balmeo. Very informative talk. From Sir Richard again, so pag ganon, ask nyo na lang kung ano prefer ng nag-check. From Ma'am Mary Joy Biazon, true, I agree. We have to encourage our students to join Research Congress and paper presentation. From Sir Richard again, active na active si Sir Richard. Unfortunately, sa basic ed ngayon, due to pandemic, wala na yung other awards sa mga graduating students, like yung awards for research na isa sa mga dahilan kaya encourage and motivated mga students and teachers to join research conferences kahit sa school level lang. Hopefully, ibalik na next school year. O, nakakamiss po yung face-to-face na, tsaka yung mga activities. So, any questions po? Any question? Sige po. Huwag na po kayo mahiya. Masasagot po yan ni Sir Bryan. Kaya niya yan. Sige po. Kung wala po kayong question, ako magko-question. Sige na po. Wala po bang tanong? Sige na po. Isa lang. Ayaw niyo po yatang pahirapan si Sir Bryan.
Maraming salamat po. Kung ayaw niyo akong pahirapan tonight.
Kaya yan ni Sir Bryan. Sige po, tanong lang po tayo. Ayun. Ask ko lang po, ilan po ba ang intended participants for quality study from Ma'am Mary Jane Biazon?
Ayan po. Actually, nabanggit natin ito nung day 1. Ang number kasi ay because of the principle of generalizability, mas concerned ang number sa quantitative research, no? Kasi kailangan may certain number nako-compute na nga yan sa under quantitative research. Nako-compute na siya, no? Kaya kailangan talaga may certain numbers. For example, 1,000, at least dapat 10%, 20%, or 30% ang nakukuha natin. But for qualitative research, hindi naman, wala siyang principle. We do not follow the principle of generalizability. No? So kung sino yung mga participants na nandoon, sila lang yung kinakailangan. So for example, tingnan din natin, halimbawa sa school ninyo, syempre kayo bilang mga students pa lang, hindi naman yan required na buong school ninyo kasi sobrang hirap na. Halimbawa, sa track lang ninyo, nasa 100 sa track. No? And then, ang gusto mong malaman ay yung mga 'Di ba minsan nauuso sa atin yung mga teenage pregnancy, no? Yung mga nagkaanak kaagad and then bumalik sila, no? At 'di ba at least bumalik sila sa pag-aaral. So ano yung mga experiences nila? 'Di ba? So unang-una sa lahat, ang gagawin natin kapatid, tingnan muna natin doon sa ating paligid, sa school natin, doon sa iyong lokal ng study, ilan ba yung naging ganon, no? Kasi kung 5 lang naman, 6 lang, 7 lang, eh wala tayong magagawa kung yun ang kailangan natin. So 6 lang silang i-interview natin. No? Pero kung siguro sa 100 na kaklase mo, 95 doon yung yung ganun ang sitwasyon, yan, siguro tayo mag-iisip. Ang gagawin na lang natin ay mag-iisip tayo ng mga iba pang mga factors na para mapaliit, ma-limit sila, no? Actually, meron nga akong nabasa noon na may isa, ang kanyang participant ay isa. No? Nanalo pa nga daw ito sa isang international research congress, no? So lang yung participant niya. Sa case study, di ba? Sometimes isa lang. No? So, ang mahalaga kasi ay yung mismong tao. Hindi siya masyadong mahalaga yung mga number. Again, because we do not have the principle of generalizability. Hindi siya kinakailangan. Okay. Ngayon pandemic po, what possible researches can we sige po, ma'am. What possible researches can we conduct? Meron tayong regional memorandum na biniba tungkol dito. Nakalimutan ko na kung anong dito. Dapat po ang consideration natin unang-una ay yung paano tayo mag-gather ng data. So kailangan ang mga data na mag-gather natin ay posible through online methods, no? Kung kaya natin yan mag-gather through online methods, tawagan natin sila or mag-Zoom tayo, pwede. Yun ang pwede natin gamitin, no? Kung talagang specific topic ang gusto mong marinig, no? Ano ba yung, again, titingnan natin ano yung mga nangyayari sa paligid, experiences ito yung mga common na nangyayari, no? Experiences ng mga bata sa modular distance learning, hindi lang mga bata, experiences ng mga magulang, no, na tumatayo bilang teacher facilitators, experiences ng mga teachers, no, na naging print liners, no? At walang katapusang mag-print na, naging ano na sila, secretarial ng trabaho, kaka-print ng module. Ano yung mga experiences nila? Yung mga teachers na katulad ko ay sa habang ginagampanan ang trabaho ay nagkaroon ng coronavirus. Ano yung mga lived experiences namin nila, no? Yan, pwede yan. Mental health, no? Ano yung mga pinagdadaanan na mga problema ng mga bata ngayon na nakakulong na lang sila, no? Alam niyo ba dati ang mobile games, yung anything mobile, ang mga health professionals natin, hindi discourage yan. Lumabas kayo, makipag-usap kayo sa mga tao, ganyan. Pero ngayon, ini-encourage na nila. Kasi hindi ka naman pwedeng lumabas para makipag-socialize. So ang pinaka-means lang natin ng socialization ay online. So talagang, sige, in-encourage nila kasi nga, parte ng mental health natin yan, na kailangan nakikipag-usap tayo sa ibang tao. We are exposed to other people or else, di ba? Magkakaroon tayo ng mga problema. So yan, pwede yung mga yan. So yun, modular, we have the mental health, ano pa ba? Experiences natin habang tayo ay mga nasa tahanan, ano ba yung mga because as students, di ba? Nasanay tayo na sa isang araw, mas mahaba ang ikinukonsumo natin sa labas na tayo'y gising kaysa tayo ay nasa bahay. Mas marami tayong natutulog sa bahay kaysa yung magising naman tayo, no? So ngayon na nagkaroon na ng pandemic and we cannot do anything about it but to stay homes, to stay sa ating mga tahanan. Meron tayong mga dating, di ba, may mga sitwasyon sa bahay na nakikita natin na hindi nawi-witness natin ngayon. For example, yung mga domestic problems, no? Yung nag-aaway ang magulang, ganyan. So dati hindi natin yan nawi-witness masyado kasi nga lagi tayong nasa labas. Ngayon nawi-witness na natin yan. So these are possible topics na pwede nating pag-usapan. Ano ang mga karanasan natin, no, ngayong pandemic? Ano ang mga coping mechanisms na atin, no? Especially na hindi tayo nakakalabas. Anong ginagawa natin para hindi tayo masiraan ng ulo or whatever, no? Paano tayo magstay relaxed? Yan, ito yung mga bagay na pwede nating napakarami. Sabi nga kanina, tumingin lang tayo sa ating paligid, yung ating mga nararanasan, personal experiences, makikita natin yung mga possible topics.
Okay, thank you, sir. May message po sa akin si Sir Richard. Mag-share daw po siya regarding do sa question po ni Ma'am Lourdes. Sige,
Hello po.
Sir
Hindi na po
Richard.
ako
Okay po.
magbubukas ng cam, no? Hindi po ako naligo eh. Hindi, biro lang po. Ma'am Lourdes, pwede kong makausap si Ma'am. Saan siya affiliated? Like anong school or sa DepEd ba siya? Basic Ed, elementary, secondary, ganoon?
Paracalo National High School po, sir.
Opo, sa Basic Ed po, no, sa high
Sa
school po.
Camarines Norte po.
Opo, ma'am, opo. Ang magandang ano po diyan, ma'am, syempre dahil sa DepEd po kayo, no. Alam niyo po magbibigay ako ng example. Sa isang division po, pangalanan na lang natin halimbawa Division X. Ang pinagawa sa mga guro nila mostly ay tungkol sa teaching and learning process. Kaya ang nangyari nung nagkaroon ng regional evaluation, itong si Division X lumitaw sa isa sa mga recommendation sa kanila ay mag-explore sila ng ibang topic. Although very good naman ang teaching and learning kasi bilang guro, dapat ang focus mo ngayong pandemic, ang mga research mo ay tungkol sa classroom-based action research, mga ganoon dahil nasa teaching and learning ka. Kaya lang po, naging comment nga po ng regional office, pangalanan natin ng regional office number, halimbawa number 35, although walang ganun, sample lang po yun. Ang naging comment nga po ay bakit puro teaching and learning? Ang naging training po pala sa kanila, ang naging instruction sa kanila dahil guro sila, sa teaching and learning sila. Pero ang lumitaw po based sa mas malalimang diskusyon, pagtalakay ng mga naging resulta ng research na sinasubmit nila, hindi naman dapat ganoon. Halimbawa po, kayo ma'am, syempre kaya ako tinatanong kanina kung saang school kayo, saan ang affiliation niyo. Syempre ang unang titingnan ko, guro ba siya? Classroom teacher ba siya? So pwede kang humanap ng topic tungkol sa teaching and learning process. Pwede yon, yun yung number 1. Pero baka may extra designation ka rin. Like halimbawa, you were designated ng school principal ninyo as halimbawa, school health leader. Pwede ka ring humanap ng topic tungkol doon sa halimbawa, ano kaya yung mga best practices ng mga school health leader o kaya sa nutrition ngayong panahon ng pandemic, pwedeng yung practices sa school ninyo, kaya yung practices sa isang district or sa isang division. Kung ikaw naman ay halimbawa SSG advisor ka, Supreme Student Pupil or Supreme Student Government Advisor, that's another designation, di po ba? Pwede ka ring mag-explore ng ganon. Kasi kung titingnan niyo po yung research management guidelines ng may mga DepEd order yun, hindi naman niya nililimitahan ng guro na halimbawa kung nagtuturo ka, classroom teacher ka, sa classroom teaching lang ang focus mo. Pwede ka kasing mag-explore ng mga topic like, kaya ako tinatanong kung ano yung designation mo, pwede mo ring tingnan yung pinag-aralan mo halimbawa. Minsan, di ba, meron po tayong mga guro na hindi naman talaga nagtuturo doon sa area of specialization nila. So, titingnan mo yung background mo, titingnan mo yung designation mo, titingnan mo yung position mo sa school, maaari kang mag-explore doon. So, marami pong pwede pong mga topic. Basta mai-connect mo lang siya. Halimbawa, kasi na-tsempo ka halimbawa yung sa, please don't get me wrong po na baka may school head tayo dito na ma-offend po. Halimbawa, sasabihin sa'yo ng isang school head, hindi ka naman school leader, bakit ganyan ang topic mo? For as long as kaya mong i-connect, halimbawa tungkol sa management o kaya tungkol sa school operations ang topic mo, kasama ka pala sa member ka pala ng ano ba yung sa may SBM, sa school, ano yon Sir Jester? Sige sabihin ng SBM? Yung tungkol sa
School-based management, sir?
Oo, sa school-based management. Kasama ka pala
School-based
doon.
management po.
Member ka pala noon. So, nagkataon, interested ka na pag-aralan yung isang area doon. So, yun po yun. Yun po yung sinasabi natin na insofar as topics, lalo na sa qualitative research, ay marami po tayong pwedeng ma-explore. Huwag lang po tayong mag-limit doon sa isa na classroom teacher ka, dapat classroom-based action research ang sayo. Nagkataon, you have other designations na pwede kang mag-explore. Yun po. Hopefully nakatulong po yon, Ma'am Lourdes. Salamat po.
Thank you po.
Okay, we also, meron pa pong isang question dito from Sir Armido Galivo. During face-to-face, a group of students for every manuscript was assigned, but now in time of pandemic, may mga schools na gusto nila individual work ang paggawa ng study or manuscript. What is your comment on this based on your experience in time of pandemic?
Okay. Hello po, sir. Armido Galivo. Ano po, actually, naririnig po ako. Naging senior high school teacher po ako for almost 2 years, and so alam ko by experience, yung individual work ay hindi lang burden para sa mga estudyante, hindi burden din sa mga teachers. Kasi kung for example, ang mga estudyante mo ay 100, so you will be checking 100 manuscripts, no? So it will be a burden for you, it will be a burden for your students. And during this time na sobrang hirap na nga ng pinagdadaanan natin as it is, bakit kapag gagawa ng isang bagay na mas magpapahirap pa? This is just my opinion po, ano? Ang nagkakaroon lang kasi ng problema, bakit ang nakikita kong dahilan bakit ginagawang individual work kasi nga naman baka itong mga estudyante na ito na which is may mga nangyayari na nagkikita-kita sila na kasi nga group sila, nakikita-kita sila sa bahay ng kaklase at naggumagawa doon. So ito po yung isa sa mga gustong sigurong i-discourage ng teacher, bakit kailangang individual work na lang para at least kanya-kanya. However, hindi natin naman agad-agad na masisigurado na pag individual work hindi rin nila gagawin 'yon. Dahil pwede rin naman silang magsama-sama pa rin maggawa at magtutulungan sila kahit iba-iba yung kanilang topics. If they really want to do that, they will do that because we cannot monitor them. So hindi naman yun sa individual work, but rather yung instructions na ating ibinibigay kailangan very strict tayo, no, very clear sa ating mga bata bilang mga research teachers. Kailangan clear ang instructions na talagang bawal kayong magkita-kita because of the pandemic. Hindi kayo pwedeng magkita-kita dahil nangyari na yan na nagkopyahan sila ng assignment tapos nahawa sila. May instance na ganyan na nagkaroon ng problema. And sobrang hirap na gawin ito kasi nga yun nga lang may face-to-face discussion na ang technical assistance na binibigay natin sa mga bata ay harapan na mismo, nahihirapan pa tayo much more kung ano pa kaya kung ang gagawin natin ay online. No? So para po sa akin, hindi ko ini-encourage ang individual work. Actually, mas maganda nga kung mas marami. Ano ang gagawin lang natin para maiwasan na sila ay magkita-kita? We have to give them tips, no, we have to give them suggestions on how to connect with one another na hindi kinakailangan na magkita-kita kayo personally, no? So you utilize the online platforms, no, gumawa kayo ng group chat or sa Messenger or whatever, no? Kung hindi kaya ng Google Meet, sa Messenger kasi parang lahat naman din halos meron namang Messenger, may Facebook naman, no? So pwede doon para hindi na kinakailangang magkita-kita. Kapag tayo ay mag-data gathering, ano rin 'yan eh. For example, pag nag-meet ano kayo sa group chat, pwede nang magmi-meeting na sila diyan. Ito na sa akin ito sa iyo 'yan, no? So at least hati-hati na sila, yung leader ipapasa sa kanya. You know, we can always teach students na yung pamamaraan kung paano mas mapapadali ang trabaho, no? So at the end of the day, kung ako ang tatanungin, kailangan mag-isip tayo ng mga pamamaraan na mapadali ang buhay ng isa't isa. No? Kasi yun na lang pinagdadaanan natin ngayon, mahirap na. So we have to think of ways na mas mapadali pa ang ginagawa natin para hindi naman tayo mas lalo pang mahirapan. Meron pong teacher ay ma'am nag-comment na.
Okay, may comment po dito si Ma'am Josephine Cleopat. Yes po, pwede po kahit hindi tayo admin. But may coordinatorship po tayo related sa topic na gusto natin. Pinahihintulutan naman po and mas appealing po na ma-approve dahil nakita natin yung problem na nakitaan din natin ng kasagutan to improve school management. Pinayagan po kasi ang study ko. Also, sir, may add daw po si Sir Richard. Regarding po dun sa tanong ni si Dr. Galibo. Sige po.
Apo. I agree with Sir Bryan Jester. Syempre bago naging boss na ngayon yan eh. Congratulations sir. Boss na ngayon sa sa school nila sa Zambales yan. Pero syempre dahil naranasan niya ang maging classroom teacher na kamukha natin. Imaginein mo kung ano yung mga sections na hawak mo at sabihin na natin sa 6 na sections na yon mayroon ka ng halimbawa. Sabihin mo ng 20, although mababa yon, yung iba nasa mga 40
Mababa,
no
yeah.
per class. Sabihin mo ng 20 per 20 per class, 6 na sections. Ibig sabihin nun 20 students per class sa times the 6 sections, yung checkan mo kung individual yan. Yung sinasabi ni Dr. Galibo, medyo familiar ako dyan. Nangyari yan sa Division Y. Siyempre, bawal nating pangalanan ng division. Actually, nagkaroon pa ng, kung di ako nagkakamali, nagkaroon pa ng motion for reconsideration ang mga teachers sa schools division na yan, pinadala sa division office na sinasabi nga nila kung gaano kahirap yung magkaroon ng individual na research para sa mga bata ngayong pandemic. Kaya lang ang posisyon kasi ng division office ng Division Y ay panahon nga ng pandemic, yung iba wala silang connection. Paano pa silang makakapag-participate sa grouping? Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, yun ang pinakapunto nila. Paano mo papag-groupings yung mga bata? Paano sila makakapag-participate kung wala ngang connection yung iba? Kaya nga, I think yun yung pinaka naging meat nung sagot nila doon sa motion for reconsideration. Kaya siguro tayong mga guro, lalo na mukhang hindi pa magbabago yung sitwasyon natin, no, hanggang sa next school year. Palagay po natin based sa nakikita nating mga datos ngayon, parang ganito pa rin ang setup natin sa susunod na school year. Kaya nga mag-isip tayo ng mga innovations ngayon. Halimbawa, kung sa Division Y na yan ay talagang nandun pa rin yung instruction nila na individual, ano kaya yung pwede nating magawa para mapagaan yung buhay ng mga bata, and at the same time, mapagaan din yung buhay natin. Kasi given na kung ganyan na yung instruction at mukhang magiging ganyan pa rin next school year at ang mukhang wala pa rin tayong face-to-face classes next school year. So, merong challenge sa atin ngayon to do some innovations on how we can still follow yung instruction, and at the same time, okay sa bata, okay din sa atin. But well noted po, Dr. Galibot. Tama po talaga yun. Medyo napaka-challenging po ng ganoong situation. Salamat po.
Actually, if I may add, no, Doc Richard, siguro ako, kung sa experience ko, I think it's very important also to hear the voices of our students, no? Tanungin muna rin natin sila kasi meron akong mga naging estudyante noon that actually was gusto nilang mag-isa, no? Kaysa yung lalo na yung mga medyo advanced nating mga students, ayaw nila ng kasama kasi ipabigat na. So siguro, 'di ba, hingin din natin muna yung opinion ng ating mga estudyante. Kung yung itong estudyante natin ay okay lang naman sa kanya siguro mag-isa siya, edi sige, bigyan natin. Yung mga estudyante na talagang alam naman natin na talagang hindi nila kayang mag-isang gumawa ng ganyan, edi we have to group them to other na classmates nila na magtutulong-tulungan sila, no? Yun, siguro isa rin yun sa mahalagang dapat nating pagtuunan ng pansin. We really have to also learn how to ask our students kasi magsasabi naman sila sa atin ng kanilang mga opinion.
Yes, sir. May question po dito si Ma'am Mary Joy Diazon. Sir, ask ko lang po, ilan po bang RQ for phenomenology study? Totoo po ba na isa lang?
Actually po, isa yan sa mga differences ng quantitative research sa qualitative research. Ang qualitative research, given na dapat medyo marami ang mga questions dito. Sa qualitative research, yes, actually may mga nababasa ako na pwede nga isa lang ang question. Kasi po, you can have one key question, yung natawag nilang key question, and you can further divide this question, itong key question na ito, doon na sa ating interview guide questions, no? So sa interview guide questions, pwedeng doon ka na maraming tanong, and itong interview guide questions na ito must be related to the one key question na nakalagay doon sa ating statement of the problem. Hindi siya, kasi minsan nagkakaroon tayo ng problema na ang dami-dami nating nilalagay na tanong sa statement of the problem na kung titingnan mo, hindi naman na siya statement of the problem, interview guide question na siya, yun mismong tanong mo sa which is not correct, no? So kailangan pwedeng kahit isa lang 'yan, key question lang, and then later on i-divide mo siya, no? Hati-hatiin mo siya into questions, into many questions doon na sa interview guide question. But that is true, no? Sa qualitative research, hindi inaano na sobrang dami mong research questions, unlike sa quantitative research. Kasi kung quantitative research, for example, kung may inferential statistics ka, Andiyan na yung, is there a significant relationship? Is there a, di ba? Meron pa yung what is the yung pretest, post-test, and everything. Usually, yan yung walang katapusang, what is the profile of the participant in terms of age, sex, yan. No? Kaya, so marami siya. No? So, unlike sa qualitative, mayroon lang isang question, no? Lived experiences of teenage mothers. Yun na mismo yung sometimes, that's your key question. Hindi na kailangan paramihin pa. You just focus on that at one key question.
May question pa po? Wala na po yata, sir. May hahabol pa po. 10, 9, 8. Ganado pa si Sir Bryan. Sige pa po. 7.
Ma'am Lacey, hindi siya tanong, hindi okay lang ba? I just
Okay
would
lang po,
like
sige
to
po, sir.
commend yung speaker natin. Napakagaling na speaker in qualitative research. Kasi nga itong at saka alam mo ang sanay, no? Ang sanay mag-discuss, kahit konti lang ang laman ng slide, mahaba, maraming nasasabi. Yung tipong 2 sentences lang ang laman ng slide pero he can deliver talaga. Kaya niyang dagdagan yung discussion niya. Kasi yan, I think si Sir Jester, isa yan sa mga speakers natin na hindi lang nagdi-discuss based on the books talaga. Based sa experiences niya. Kumbaga, kahit sabi ko nga kahit konti lang ang laman ng slides niyan, pero yung experiences niyan baka hindi tayo matapos dito, which is napakaganda kasi yung mga sagot sa mga tinatanong sa kanya basically ay nasasagot niya based din sa mga ginagawa talaga niya sa in the field of particularly in the field of qualitative research. Thank you so much, Sir Jester.
Salamat po, Doc Richard. Thank you po.
Galing niya na, sir. Pwede na siya mag-international, no, sir?
Correct. Mag-international
Tabak na
na
natin,
yan.
sir.
Pwede na yan sa ibang planeta.
Speaker. Sige.
Pluto
Galactic
po.
na pala, no? Galactic po. Sige, may question pa po. Wala na po. Okay. With that po, thank you, Sir Jester, for that informative discussion po. No? Talaga naman, ready si Sir. No? At ang dami nating natutunan sa kanya. So let us now proceed po with the awarding of certificate. Sir Jester, share po ako ng screen. Pwede po paki-stop share po. Mag-share po ako ng screen. Nag-iinat yung laptop ko. Okay. Certificate of Recognition to Bryan Jester S. Balmeo, LPT MALT, Research Consultant of ETCOR Educational Research Center, for his invaluable time and expertise as a resource speaker in the National Webinar on Qualitative Research of ETCOR Educational Research Center held on June 16 and 30 and July 14, 2021, and conducted under the Advocacy Project Sagip Mananaliksik for Everyone, with advisory from the Department of Education. Let us give him a virtual applause. Okay? Congratulations po, Sir Bryan. So let us move on po with the closing message. Let us call on Mr. Roderick Alcantara, LPD, FOPd, Teacher 3 from the Division of Bulacan. Sige po, Sir Roderick. Wala na po yata si Sir Roderick. Ayun, nandiyan pa siya. Sige po, Sir Roderick Alcantara.
I-proceed mo muna sa mga next parts, ma'am. I will call in. Nandito pa siya eh, baka nag-comfort room.
Habang hinihintay natin si Sir Roderick, how about let's have a simple game po kaya. Yung iba ayaw yata nilang mag-open ng camera. So, While waiting for Sir Roderick, let's have a simple game po. Okay? Kung okay lang po, pwede po buksan natin yung camera natin for our simple game. Sige, para makita natin yung magaganda at gwapong itsura ninyo. Di ba po? Para makilala namin kayo. Sige po, buksan po natin yung camera natin. Para makita po natin. Sige po, wag po kayong mahihiya kahit walang ligo yan. Maganda naman. Sige po. For our simple game po, all you have to do po is wiggle your hands if your answer is true. Sa mga teacher, ito lang po ang makapagbagbag damdaming true or false. So you need to wiggle your hands if your answer is true, and for false, you need to hold your ears. Okay po? Kapag ang sagot sa aking katanungan ay true, iwiggle lang ang kamay. Kung ang inyong sagot ay false, hawakan ng tenga. Nakuha po? Madali lang po ang tanong at di naman po kayo mahihirapan. Napakadali. Kahit nakapikit po kayo, kayang-kaya sagutin. Okay, our first question. Published articles are an excellent source of ideas for research questions. Published articles are excellent source of ideas for research questions. Is it a true or false? True po ba or false? Konti lang yung naka-open ng camera. Sige po, open kayo ng camera. Okay, lahat sila, ang sagot nila, true. Okay, ang answer po is true. How about this one po? Limitation refers to boundaries of research study arising from researcher's decision of what to exclude. Limitation po ba o delimitation? Refers to boundaries of the research study arising from research discussion of what to exclude. Limitation po ba? Refers to boundaries of research study. Limitation ba? Is it a true or false? Limitation refers to boundaries of the research study arising from researchers' decision of what to exclude. Is it true or false? Ay, si Sir Bryan, alam na alam. It is false. Bakit, Sir Bryan? Bakit false yon? Anong tama sagot? Bakit false, Sir Bryan?
That is the limitation. Pagka po researcher's decision.
Okay. Next po. Hanggang 5 lang. Nandiyan na si Sir Roderick. Okay. For third, validity refers to the truth value of the qualitative study. Its applicability, consistency, and neutrality. Validity refers to the truth value of qualitative study. Is it true or false? Validity po ba refers to the truth value? Is it true or false? True po? Nagtutrue si Ma'am Lourdes, nagtutrue si Ma'am Minerva. True po ba or false? Validity refers to the truth value. It is false. Credibility po siya. Okay, last na po. Nandiyan na si Sir Roderick. Last. Thesis and dissertations are good sources of topics. Thesis and dissertations are good sources of topics. Is it true or false? It is true. With that po, balik po tayo kay Sir Alcantara for the closing message. Sige po, Sir Roderick.
Ma'am Alyssa, sorry po, bigla pong bumigay si laptop ko eh. Okay, so anyway, so I'm using my cell phone. So in behalf of the educational, in behalf of the Embracing the Culture of Research, or ETCOR, headed by our one and only Dr. Richard Sanchez, and to all the management team of this webinar, of this lecture series, we would like to thank all of you who participated tonight. Kung natutunan sa inyo, ito lang po, ako pa nag-workout pa lang. Kita-kits po tayo ulit mga ka-ETCOR sa ating pong next lecture, which is on yun po yung ating date lecture. So, muli po.
Thank you po, Sir Roderick. Then I would like to invite everyone po on the day 3 of Living, Loving, and Exploring Doing Qualitative Research as an Avenue of Meaningful Existence. Ano po sa July 14, 2021, and our lecturer is Sir Adrian P. Tamayo, Master Teacher 1 from DepEd Angeles City. Sana po lahat tayo ay nandun pa rin kapag nag-lecture si Sir Adrian. He is one of my colleague po dito sa Division of Angeles City, and truly, napakagaling po niyang lecturer. With that po, thank you very much po for joining us in our webinar. Sana magkita-kita tayong ulit sa susunod na webinar natin. Wala na po bang addition? Kung wala na po, I would like to end this webinar with a simple quote. Excellence is never an accident. It is a result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, skillful execution, and vision to see obstacles as opportunities. With that, go ahead, have a blessed evening and enjoy the rest of the night.